Hey everyone, and welcome back. So I got a couple of updates, including some stuff that is very exciting that is coming literally in just a couple weeks. So I'm going to kind of cover this. Actually, I don't know how I'm going to cover it. I'm just going to go through each one, and we'll just kind of talk about it as we go. But first, do want to mention that Second Sight did say that there will officially be finally an update to their upcoming release of The Hitcher, which we should be getting some details and hopefully also a release date and hopefully even some pre-order information coming in approximately 2 weeks. So needless to say, once that gets officially announced with all the details and everything, for sure I'm going to talk about it because that is one that I've been waiting for for a long time. I can't even talk. So excited I am for it. All right, so let's move on to. I got a couple things. Where should I go first? Let's do Kino first. Actually, Kino has announced a couple of really cool titles. Technically re-releases, but they're good ones if you missed out on them before. So they announced a couple new titles in their Kino Cult line, which they started last year or the end of 22. I don't know, somewhere around there. Not too long ago. And we are up to, let's see, number 10. Yes, and they announced 5 new titles, all Blu-rays. Now, unfortunately, it's Kino. I assume these Blu-rays are going to be Region A locked for those of you outside of Region A, so do want to give you a heads up on that. But, nice thing, let's see, 5 here, 4 of them, I believe, were already released by Scream Factory many, many moons ago. And then the last one was released by, was it Code Red? I think it was Code Red. So let's just dive right into it. So first one is a new Blu-ray special edition release of The Food of the Gods, retailing for $24.95. Now, a lot of Kino stuff always comes down in price, so I'll just mention the retail price set for August 20th. And it looks like now all of these I did try and compare them to their previous releases, and as far as I can tell, I believe on all of these, most, if not all, of the previous extras on their last release are included here. But it looks like each film actually does come with a new commentary track. So for this one, as a new commentary track with film historians Lee Gambin and John Harrison, author of Wildcat, the films of Marjoe Gortner, and then it does port over a previous commentary track with the director, an interview with actress Belinda Balaski, as well as the trailer. Now, moving on to the next one, which is a new Blu-ray release of Empire of the Ants. Again, retailing for $24.95. Actually, these might all be $24.95. Also set for August 20th. And same thing, ports over the previous commentary track with the director, as well as the trailer, but does have a new commentary track with film historian David Delval and filmmaker historian Michael Variety. So that's cool. So again, you're not, as far as I know anyway, you're not missing any extras on any of these, I believe. Next one is a special edition Blu-ray of Frogs, $24.95. I think it's all $24.95. Also for August 20th. And this one ports over an interview with Joan Van Ark, including some TV spots, radio spots in the trailer, but it does have a new commentary track with film historian David Del Val and film historian producer Dan Marino. And moving right along, next up is a Blu-ray release of the movie Squirm, $24.95. I'll just keep saying it anyway, even though I think they're all the same. Coming August 20th. And again, same thing, ports over the previous commentary with the director, as well as a making of a tour locations with the director, TV, radio spots, the theatrical trailer. But again, it does have a new commentary track with film critics, authors Lee Gambin and John Harrison. And again, those 4 titles were released before from Scream Factory. And then finally, this last one, which I'm almost positive was released by Code Red. If it wasn't, I'll put something here. Pretty sure it was Code Red. Is a new Blu-ray release of Kingdom of the Spiders. $24.95, set for August 20th as well, and does port over, I believe, all or almost all of the extras that were on that Code Red release from many moons ago. It's including a commentary track with the director, producer, cinematographer, another commentary track with the producer and actress Tiffany Bowling, also an interview with actress Tiffany Bowling, interview with writer Steve Lodge, radio spot, theatrical trailer, and again, it has a new audio commentary track with author film historian Lee Gambin. Now, just real quick on these, there's no mention of transfers. Unfortunately, I'm assuming none of these have new transfers, which is kind of upsetting. not that the previous releases looked bad by any means. If I don't remember them, I thought, at least from what I can remember, they all look decent. But again, obviously, especially now, I mean, we're talking about some of these were what, like 10 years ago or so, maybe more than that. So it's like, they kind of could use new transfers, but these are great films. If you've never seen any of them, or if you haven't seen them in a long time, and you missed out on the previous releases, which obviously at this point have been long out of print, great way to pick them up. And especially as we get closer to release date and stuff, or if you wait for one of Kino sales, you're gonna get these like a lot cheaper. That's for sure. So. And I'm definitely gonna, even though I do have the Code Red release, I'm for sure gonna pick up another edition of Kingdom of the Spiders because I love that film. I remember seeing it on TV when I was a kid. Freaked me out. I'm sure one of the many reasons why I can get very freaked out by spiders even to this day. And then one more from Kino I do want to mention real quick is a new 4K release coming, let's see, August 27th, retailing for $39.95 of the Jean-Claude Van Damme Sudden Death. So we got another Van Damme film in 4K, and this one actually looks pretty decent. It's a 4K with an included Blu-ray. It's got a new transfer from the original camera negative. Has a commentary track with action film historians Mike Leader and UK cult movie director Ross Boyask, as well as 5.1 surround and a 2.0 stereo track. And then the Blu-ray also has, in addition to the movie and the commentary tracks, vintage interview clips with Van Damme, director Peter Hyams, Powers Booth, and Ross Malinger. So it's behind-the-scenes footage, a TV spot, and a theatrical trailer. So just want to mention that real quick, because I think a couple of us action film stars, heavens, I wish we were action stars, action film fans here that probably look forward to definitely picking this up at some point in 4K. All right, now, next up, actually, we're going to get to Severin. So a couple interesting things happening right now with Severin. So they have a sale coming up next month, running from the weekend of July 12th through the 15th. And they're releasing a lot of new titles that weekend, including one that we are all most of us, I assume anyway, are very, very excited about. Definitely I am. And so they, I think they might have like one or two titles left. They're sort of announcing a couple titles here and there. And they're not up for pre-order right now. They will be, they're not going up for order until then. But it's got a couple Blu-rays and then the big one. I'm going to save the big one for last for obvious reasons. I'm going to go through these a little quickly just because I'm going to cover them again as we get closer to the sale. But I do just want to mention the other three titles real quick. So first off, they're all Blu-ray and they're all region-free Blu-rays, which is good. So first up is the film The Red Light Bandit. So it'll be in its original Portuguese, and let's see, what is this film about? I actually don't know. Let's take a look. Based on police reports of the real-life bandit who terrorized 60 Sao Paulo, a charismatic crook robs the rich, taunts law enforcement, and becomes a public hero in an anarchic odyssey that's equal parts crime thriller, urban western, grindhouse, roughy, twisted comedy, cultural grenade, and still unlike anything you've ever seen. It does have a new transfer, a 2K transfer from its original camera negative. It does have a couple of interviews, the trailer, a couple of short films. Again, I'm going to kind of cover details a little bit later again as we get closer to the sale, and especially I think they're announcing like one or two more titles. Next up is a Blu-ray release, again region free, of The Mummy and the Curse of the Jackals, which has a couple of interviews as well as another film, Angelica the Young Vixen, an early 70s Vega International adult film. So it's a commentary track on that film, and I believe that extra I think is scanned from the sole surviving print. But as far as the main film goes, as it says here, experienced a notorious 1969 horror epic that's been barely seen since its fly-by-night VHS release, while existing mostly via sordid rumors for more than 50 years. Anthony Isley stars in this brain-melting mashup of dubious Egyptology, risible werewolf transformations, H.G. Lewis-level gore, cut-rate psychedelia, and an oven-mitted mummy on a Las Vegas rampage, all set to a swinging soundtrack of lounge and surf instruments. That sounds interesting. Again, I'm going to cover more as we get closer. One more title, and then I'm going to get to the big one. So next up is a region-free Blu-ray of the movie Simple Like Silver. Let's see. In her first feature film appearance appearance in 25 years. Christina Marcilak of opera fame gives a quiet, radiant performance in this poetic and profound must-see for fans of art house cinema. Having learned that she has a terminal illness, a woman takes a final vacation only to discover a dreamlike triptych of fear, trauma, and murder. I think that's a semi-more recent film. All right, now we get to the big 4K release, yeah, this is the reason why I saved them for last, although I guess I technically, with the previous film, I did, the description of the previous film, I already tipped my hat, although I'm sure most of you guys already know this is coming, and that is we are finally getting the 4K release of Dario Argento's Opera, which, they announced that they were working on it like a while ago, but there were, after they did the restoration, obviously they wanted to premiere at like some film festivals and stuff. But now we are actually finally getting the physical release, and I can tell you right now, Severin has gone all out on this release. You know, some of you know it was released on Blu-ray several years ago from Scorpion releasing. But again, problem with Scorpion releasing, like Code Red, as I mentioned in the past, like, unless you kind of knew that those titles were out there, you may not, like those companies, you follow what those companies put out, you may not even know a lot of the stuff they put out ever was put out. So, so we're getting this, it's a 5-disc set. Now, one of those discs is the CD soundtrack, which is awesome. It is going to have 2 versions of the film included. And you know what? I'm just going to kind of dive into this. So it's going to be there's a 4K disc, a Blu-ray disc, a Blu-ray disc, and a Blu-ray disc, and then the soundtrack. Okay, so one 4K disc, which will have the director's cut of the film, and the US cut, plus a couple of special editions, including a commentary track. 3 commentary tracks, which again, I'm going to go over in detail later. The opera trailer, as well as Terror at the Opera trailer. And it will be in its original 2.35:1 aspect ratio. Is it getting transferred from its original camera negative? It's going to have, let's see. Director's Cut will have an English 5.1, an English stereo, Italian stereo, a Cannes English mono, because I think some of the dubs were different, if I remember correctly. A US cut in English 5.1 and English stereo, plus subtitles, and then the US cut, I think, only has the standard English dub on it. So, just real quick, also, the 4K disc will be region-free. Luckily, most 4K discs are, and 2 of the included Blu-rays, which have the film on it, which I'm going to get to in just a second, unfortunately are region A locked. So heads up on that. And then there's one more Blu-ray disc that has a bunch of the special features, but that disc is actually region free. So I did want to mention that. So as far as disc 2 and disc 3 goes, which has the film on it on Blu-ray, again, has the director's cut. So disc 2 has the director's cut and the US cut. Again, in that 2.35:1 aspect ratio with the commentary tracks. Also has an interview with Argento, interview with the screenwriter, as well as an interview with actress Christina Marcilak, who was also in that other film, as well as the 2 trailers. Now, disc 3, again, regionally locked Blu-ray, has the director's cut only on it, but it's in 1.85:1, which is, this is interesting. I'm not going to get too far into it, but a lot of films, especially around that time, so late 80s into the 90s, actually even today, even though they're technically shot, in this case, shot 35, might even be super 35 even, they're meant to be matted off. So it wasn't shot like anamorphically with an anamorphic lens. They're actually meant to be matted off for 2.35:1. You're not supposed to see the top and the bottom. Like James Cameron shot a bunch of his films that way. So, for example, The Abyss, Terminator 2, True Lies, Titanic, I believe, was also done that way. Very, very popular thing at the time. And I think what happens with opera, if I'm not mistaken, as some of you know, definitely let me know if I'm wrong about this, but I believe it was actually shown in 1.85:1 instead, which means there's a little bit more room on the top and the bottom, but you weren't meant to see that area. It's not what it was supposed to be, but it is cool that it is being presented on here anyway. And it does actually have a couple of special features. Now, I believe it has same commentary tracks, but it also has an interview with film historian Fabrizio Sapiro, interview with Alan Jones, and the Terror at the Opera Q&A with Argento, Franco Ferrini, and Lamberto Bava at Cinema Farnese from 2006. And then finally, disc 4 Blu-ray has a bunch of other special features. And again, this disc will also actually be region free. Has let's see, an interview with actress Coralina Cataldi Tassoni, who a lot of us actually know from Demons 2, including several other interviews. You know what? I'm gonna cover more of this interview later. Bunch of more interviews. With a whole ton of people, as well as a cool thing on the preserving of the film in 4K, which I always love technical stuff like that. So behind the scenes. And again, disc 5 is going to be the soundtrack, the CD soundtrack, which, you know, I am always a fan when releases can include the soundtrack as a big soundtrack collector. So anyway, very, very excited. I don't have any further details on these as far as like price and anything go. And again, I'm sorry to skip over a couple of the details, but we are going to cover them a lot more as we get closer to that sale next month, which is only a couple weeks away. So I'm very excited, especially for Opera. Definitely one of the big Argento ones we have not gotten in 4K yet. And this looks like a really, really amazing release. We're going to wrap this up right here because it's definitely a lot more to get to next week, because next Friday, which will be the last Friday of June, of course, we're going to get the Arrow titles for, what are we up to, September? So we should start getting hopefully some more, you know, horror-based titles, you know, in that September-October time frame, hopefully, as well as, obviously, and then we're almost to the 1st of July, which means we'll have the July titles from Vinegar Syndrome coming up as well. And also, I do want to do I know I've been saying this for a long time, I definitely want to do an update video and just kind of give you guys an update as to why, unfortunately, videos have been very sort of scattered for the last few months and everything. I kind of feel like I kind of owe you guys some sort of explanation. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. So that's it for this video. Definitely let me know your thoughts on any of these announcements. Also, thank you for being patient with me. And as always, thank you for watching. And I will see you on the next one.